What if everything we thought we knew about technological progress was turned upside down? Across ancient civilizations, hidden in dust-covered ruins and long-forgotten texts, lie astonishing inventions that seem impossible for their time. A 2,000-year-old device capable of predicting celestial events with pinpoint accuracy. Clay pots that may have powered electrical devices centuries before batteries were officially invented. These aren't science fiction, they're real artifacts that force us to rewrite the story of human innovation. Today we're uncovering 33 revolutionary technologies from antiquity that foreshadowed modern breakthroughs. From surgical tools in ancient India rivaling today's precision instruments to Roman concrete that self-repairs cracks, these marvels reveal how much wisdom has been lost and rediscovered through the ages. Get ready to see history in a whole new light as we examine devices and techniques so advanced, they make us question who are the true pioneers of technology. Buried beneath the ocean for over 2,000 years, the Antikythera Mechanism emerged as one of history's most baffling artifacts. When sponge divers first pulled it from a shipwreck off the coast of Greece in 1901, they had no idea they'd stumbled upon what many now call the world's first analog computer. Crafted around 100 BC, this bronze masterpiece wasn't just some decorative object, it functioned as an incredibly precise astronomical calculator. Imagine turning its delicate gears and watching as it predicted the movements of planets, the timing of eclipses, and even the exact dates of the next Olympic Games. The complexity of its interlocking gears wasn't matched again until the mechanical clocks of the 18th century. What makes this device truly extraordinary is how it shatters our assumptions about ancient science. The Greeks weren't just philosophers gazing at the stars, they were engineers capable of translating celestial patterns into intricate machinery. Some researchers even speculate it might have been used for navigation, acting as an ancient GPS for sailors. Yet the most humbling part, we've barely scratched the surface of understanding it. Modern imaging techniques reveal hidden inscriptions and previously unknown functions, suggesting its original capabilities might have been even more advanced than we've reconstructed. Every new discovery about the Antikythera Mechanism forces us to reconsider just how much knowledge has been lost to time, and how many other ancient marvels might still be waiting to be uncovered. While the Antikythera Mechanism reveals the ancient world's mechanical genius, another artifact from the same era suggests they might have been tinkering with something even more futuristic: electricity. Unearthed near Baghdad in the 1930s, a set of strange clay jars sat quietly in museum storage before anyone realized their astonishing potential. Dating back to 250 BC, these unassuming vessels contained a copper cylinder, an iron rod, and traces of an acidic substance, ingredients that, when combined, produce a faint but undeniable electric current. Archaeologists call them the Baghdad Batteries, and their discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Modern recreations prove these devices could generate around 1 to 2 volts, hardly enough to power a modern gadget, but possibly sufficient for electroplating gold onto silver, or even as a primitive medical treatment for pain relief. Some scholars argue they might have been simple storage containers, but the presence of asphalt seals to prevent leaks suggests something far more deliberate. What's truly mind-bending is the timeline. These jars predate Alessandro Volta's first recognized battery by nearly 2 millennia. If these were indeed early power sources, it means ancient Mesopotamians were experimenting with electricity while much of the world hadn't even conceived of it. Even now, the debate rages: were they batteries, ceremonial objects, or something else entirely? Each theory forces us to reconsider just how ambitious ancient engineers really were. Perhaps the most intriguing question isn't whether they worked, but how far their knowledge might have spread. Could these have been part of a larger, lost network of electrical experimentation? For now, these clay jars remain a tantalizing glimpse into a forgotten chapter of innovation, one where the spark of discovery might have flickered long before we thought possible. From sparks of electricity to the very foundations of civilization, let's shift our focus to one of Rome's most enduring legacies: concrete that refuses to crumble. While modern buildings deteriorate after mere decades, structures like the Pantheon and the Colosseum have stood defiant for nearly 2,000 years, their domes and arches still intact despite earthquakes, wars, and the relentless march of time. What gave Roman concrete this near-magical durability? Their recipe wasn't just different, it was revolutionary. Instead of ordinary sand, Roman builders mixed volcanic ash from the region of Pozzuoli with lime and seawater. This combination triggered a rare chemical reaction, forming crystals that actually strengthen over time. Even more astonishing, tiny cracks in the concrete don't spell disaster. They trigger a self-repairing process. When water seeps in, it dissolves minerals in the volcanic material, which then recrystallize, sealing the gaps. It's as if the Romans engineered their buildings to heal themselves. Modern scientists, armed with electron microscopes and advanced chemistry, are only now unraveling the full science behind this ancient innovation. Laboratories worldwide are racing to recreate the formula, hoping to revolutionize construction today. Imagine skyscrapers or bridges with the longevity of a Roman amphitheater, structures that could last centuries instead of requiring constant repairs. Yet the true brilliance lies in how the Romans used what surrounded them. They didn't just build, they observed nature's gifts: volcanic ash from their own backyards, seawater from nearby coasts, and transformed them into something timeless. While we often associate ancient technology with lost secrets, Roman concrete reminds us that some discoveries were hiding in plain sight all along. The question isn't just how they did it, but why we ever stopped. Beneath the waves of history lies a weapon so fearsome, its mere sight could send enemy fleets into panic, a liquid fire that defied nature itself. Greek fire, the Byzantine Empire's most lethal naval secret, turned the tides of battles for centuries. Picture this: enemy ships advancing confidently, only to be met with jets of flame that clung to wood, skin, and even water, burning relentlessly as sailors leaped into the sea to escape an inescapable inferno. The secret behind this terrifying weapon died with the Byzantines, lost in the ashes of time. What we do know is staggering. Contemporary accounts describe a substance that could ignite on contact with water, making it the ultimate naval weapon. Some historians believe it contained a volatile mix of petroleum, quicklime, or naphtha, pumped through pressurized bronze tubes mounted on ships. Others speculate secret ingredients like resin or sulfur intensified its adhesive and burning properties. Greek fire wasn't just a tool of war, it was a psychological weapon. Imagine the terror of seeing fire surge across the waves, engulfing everything in its path. The Byzantines deployed it with ruthless precision, most famously during the sieges of Constantinople, where it incinerated entire Arab fleets and saved the empire from collapse. The most fascinating part, despite centuries of reverse engineering attempts, no one has ever replicated its exact formula. The Byzantines guarded the secret so fiercely that only a select few, likely the reigning emperor and a handful of chemists, ever knew the full recipe. Some speculate that the knowledge may have been fragmented deliberately, ensuring no single person could betray it. While modern flamethrowers and incendiary weapons exist, none match Greek fire's mystique or its uncanny ability to burn on water. This wasn't just a weapon, it was a masterpiece of ancient chemical warfare, one that challenges our assumptions about what pre-industrial societies were truly capable of. Perhaps some secrets are meant to stay lost, leaving us in awe of the ingenuity and the devastation that once ruled the seas. Among the sun-baked ruins of Crete's Minoan civilization lies a mystery that has defied translation for over a century: the Phaistos disk. Discovered in 1908 in the ancient palace of Phaistos, this palm-sized clay artifact immediately stood apart from any other archaeological find. Both sides of the disk bear a mesmerizing spiral of 45 distinct symbols, pressed into the clay with such precision that some scholars believe it represents the world's earliest example of movable type, a stunning 3,000 years before Gutenberg. What makes these symbols so tantalizing is their uniqueness. Unlike linear A or B, the writing systems used elsewhere in Minoan culture, the disk's pictographs appear nowhere else in the archaeological record. Some resemble recognizable objects: a helmet, a bird, a fish, while others remain utterly abstract. This isolation has led to endless speculation. Was it a religious hymn, a treaty, a warrior's poetry, or perhaps something more practical, like an inventory list or a navigational guide? The truth is, no one knows for certain. The manufacturing process only deepens the intrigue. Each symbol wasn't carved by hand but stamped using individual seals, suggesting the Minoans may have pioneered a rudimentary printing system long before it became widespread. If proven, this would rewrite the history of mass communication, placing its origins not in 15th century Germany, but in Bronze Age Crete. Yet the disk's greatest lesson might be about the fragility of knowledge. Here lies a complete script perfectly preserved from a culture that mastered seafaring, art, and architecture, and we still can't read a single word of it. The Phaistos disk serves as a haunting reminder of how easily entire systems of thought can vanish, leaving behind only silent witnesses to lost brilliance. Perhaps one day a Rosetta Stone for this enigmatic language will surface. Until then, it remains archaeology's most stubborn riddle, a message from the past still waiting to be heard. Deep in the ruins of Nimrud, the ancient Assyrian capital, archaeologists uncovered an unassuming piece of rock crystal that challenges everything we thought we knew about early optics. Known as the Nimrud lens, this thumb-sized artifact dates to 750 BCE, a staggering 3 millennia before the telescope's official invention. At first glance, it might pass for a decorative bead or curious trinket, but polish its surface and something extraordinary emerges: a precise curvature capable of bending light. Crafted from flawless quartz, the lens demonstrates an almost modern understanding of optics. Its subtle oval shape and calculated thickness suggest it wasn't accidental. This was a tool designed for magnification. Historians speculate Assyrian craftsmen might have used it to engrave intricate cuneiform tablets, or even as a jeweler's loupe to manipulate delicate details. But another theory pushes the boundaries of possibility. Could this have been part of an early telescopic device, allowing priests or astronomers to track celestial movements with startling precision? The implications are profound. If the lens wasn't just a magnifier but a component of a larger optical system, it would mean the Assyrians weren't merely skilled artisans, they were pioneers of experimental science. Imagine scholars in Nineveh peering through crystal lenses to chart the stars centuries before the Greeks formalized astronomy. What's equally fascinating is how little we still understand about its true purpose. No other lenses from this era have survived, leaving the Nimrud artifact as a solitary enigma. Was it a royal novelty, a craftsman's secret, or evidence of lost optical knowledge? The lens refuses to give up all its secrets, yet its very existence forces us to reconsider how early civilizations perceived and manipulated the fundamental nature of light itself. For now, this polished crystal remains a whisper from antiquity, hinting at a sophistication we're only beginning to measure. Every time science assumes a technology was invented in the modern era, Artifacts like the Nimrud lens rise from the dust to remind us genius spans centuries, even if its traces are fragile enough to fit in the palm of your hand. High above the Arctic Circle, where the sun vanishes for weeks and fog blankets the sea, Viking ships somehow charted flawless courses across thousands of miles of open ocean. Their secret wasn't magic, but a crystal with properties so extraordinary it borders on science fiction. Norse legends speak of a solarstein, a sunstone, that revealed the sun's position even during storms or polar darkness. For centuries, historians dismissed it as myth. Then, science caught up with the sagas. Researchers now believe this legendary navigational aid was likely a chunk of calcite or cordierite, minerals that filter sunlight in a unique way. When held toward the sky, these crystals polarize light, creating visible patterns that point to the sun's hidden location. Modern experiments prove the method works with startling accuracy, even when clouds obscure the horizon entirely. Picture a Viking captain lifting the stone, turning it slowly until twin light beams align like a celestial compass, betraying the sun's position like an ancient GPS. What's truly remarkable is how the Vikings transformed raw geology into cutting-edge technology. While medieval Europe relied on landmarks, they harnessed the physics of light itself. This wasn't just clever, it was revolutionary. With nothing but a crystal and an intimate understanding of nature's subtle cues, they reached North America 5 centuries before Columbus, trading posts stretching from Newfoundland to Constantinople. Yet the Sunstone's brilliance lies in its simplicity. No complex machinery, no fragile components, just a durable crystal that never rusted or failed. In an age where we depend on satellites vulnerable to solar flares or cyber attacks, there's poetic irony in an 8-inch stone outperforming modern systems under certain conditions. The Vikings didn't just defy the limitations of their era, they exploited natural laws we're still rediscovering. Perhaps the greatest testament to their ingenuity isn't the stone itself, but the mindset it represents. The Vikings didn't wait for clear skies. They found a way to navigate through the impossible, turning the very air they sailed into a map. While we may never unearth an authenticated sunstone, its legacy endures. Sometimes the most advanced technology isn't invented, it's unearthed, hiding in plain sight beneath our feet. Imagine waking to a distant earthquake, not from tremors beneath your feet, but from a machine that sensed the disaster before any human could feel it. In 132 CE, Chinese polymath Zhang Heng unveiled a bronze masterpiece that accomplished exactly that, the world's first seismoscope. Far more than decorative, this intricate device stood as tall as a person, its surface adorned with 8 sinuous dragons, each clutching a metal ball above the open mouths of 8 bronze toads. When the Earth trembled hundreds of miles away, the mechanism's hidden pendulum would sway, triggering just one dragon to release its ball. Clang, directly into the toad's mouth below, pinpointing the quake's direction with eerie accuracy. What stuns modern engineers isn't just its existence, but its precision. When researchers reconstructed the seismoscope using historical records, they discovered it could detect quakes up to 400 miles away, rivaling early 20th century seismographs. Zhang Heng's design exploited ingenious physics. A suspended weight inside the vessel would remain inert during subtle tremors, yet react decisively to seismic waves, channeling that motion through levers to activate the correct dragon. No electricity, no microchips, just pure mechanical genius. This wasn't merely an invention. It was a revolution in humanity's relationship with natural disasters. At a time when many cultures attributed earthquakes to divine wrath, the Han Dynasty court treated them as measurable phenomena. Historical accounts describe the seismoscope detecting a quake the capital couldn't feel days later. Messengers arrived confirming havoc in a distant province exactly where the dragon had indicated. The implications were profound. For the first time, rulers could dispatch aid to ravaged regions before reports even arrived. Yet the most humbling detail lies in what we've lost. The original seismoscope vanished centuries ago, and the exact mechanics of its internal mystery mechanism remain debated. Some scholars propose hidden gears or hydraulic systems, others suggest elegantly placed counterweights. What's undeniable is that Zhang Heng's creation embodies a truth we're only now fully appreciating. Ancient innovators didn't just observe nature, they decoded its patterns with tools so refined, they still leave us breathless. While modern seismometers rely on digital sensors, they share the same core principle as that bronze marvel from 2,000 years ago. The Earth speaks in vibrations, and humanity's greatest minds have always strained to listen. Perhaps the dragons and toads seem whimsical today, but they whisper a timeless lesson: progress isn't always linear. Sometimes it's a pendulum swinging between eras, connecting our curiosity to the brilliance of those who came before. In the hands of a skilled warrior, a Damascus steel blade could cleave through armor, shatter lesser swords, and retain its razor edge through countless battles, a weapon so legendary, its name became synonymous with indestructibility. Forged between the 3rd and 17th centuries in the Near East, these swords weren't just tools of war. They were masterpieces of metallurgy, woven with mesmerizing watery patterns that shimmered like silk. But what truly set them apart lay invisible to the naked eye: a microscopic architecture of carbon nanotubes and carbide bands, a structure so advanced modern scientists still debate how ancient smiths achieved it without precision instruments. The secret began with wootz steel, a rare ingot imported from India, infused with traces of vanadium and other exotic elements. Blacksmiths heated, folded, and hammered the metal in a rhythmic dance, controlling temperatures with an intuition that bordered on alchemy. Some accounts describe quenching the blades in dragon's blood, likely plant sap or urine, while others mention cycles of cooling in desert winds. The result: a self-sharpening edge where microscopic serrations reformed with use, and a flexibility that prevented brittleness, qualities impossible to replicate with industrial steel today. Modern attempts to recreate Damascus steel have yielded only partial success. High-resolution microscopes reveal nanotubes formed during forging, a nanotechnology accidentally engineered centuries before the term existed. Yet, even with our understanding of metallurgy, the exact process, the timing, the impurities, the rhythmic hammer strikes remains elusive. Laboratories can mimic the appearance, but not the legendary performance. Beyond its physical properties, Damascus steel carries a deeper lesson about the fragility of knowledge. When the sources of wootz ingots dried up and master smiths took their secrets to the grave, the technique vanished entirely. It's a humbling reminder that technological peaks can crumble into obscurity, leaving even the most advanced societies scrambling to reverse engineer their own past. Today, the closest we've come isn't in a sword, but in aerospace alloys and high-end cutting tools, where scientists strive to emulate that ancient microstructure. There's poetic justice in this, a metal born for battle now inspiring materials meant to endure the extremes of space. The legacy of Damascus steel isn't just in the blades that survive, it's in the undeniable proof that millennia ago, craftsmen achieved perfection through observation, patience, and a hands-on mastery we're still struggling to measure. While empires rose and fell across the ancient world, the Maya were perfecting a cosmic clockwork so precise, it still leaves astronomers in awe. Nestled deep in the jungles of Mesoamerica, their civilization didn't just track time. They mastered it, weaving together multiple interlocking calendars that mapped everything from harvest cycles to the movements of Venus. The most astonishing part, their calculations were so accurate they could predict solar eclipses centuries in advance with an error margin of just minutes. At the heart of their system lay not one, but three distinct calendars working in harmony. The Tzolk'in, a sacred 260-day cycle, guided rituals and agriculture, while the Hab, a 365-day solar calendar, aligned with the seasons. But it was the long count, a linear reckoning of days spanning over 5,000 years, that revealed their true genius. Carved into stelae and temple walls, this system used a base 20 numbering system, including the concept of zero, centuries before Europe adopted it to mark epochs with exacting precision. Contrary to doomsday sensationalism, the much-hyped end of their calendar in 2012 wasn't a prediction of catastrophe. It was simply the reset of a grand cyclical odyssey, much like our New Year's Eve. The Maya understood time as a spiral, not a line, where celestial patterns repeated in majestic, predictable loops. Modern researchers using LiDAR technology have uncovered observatories where Mayan astronomers tracked planets with naked eye accuracy. At sites like Capan, staircases align with Venus's extremes, while temple doorways frame solstice sunrises. Their calculations for Venus's 584-day cycle were off by just 2 hours, a feat unmatched until Renaissance Europe. What's perhaps most humbling is how they achieved this without telescopes or metal tools. Using nothing but shadow-casting rods and meticulous record-keeping across generations, they decoded the cosmos with a blend of mathematics and poetry. In an age where we rely on atomic clocks and supercomputers, the Maya remind us that curiosity and patience can map the universe itself, one carefully counted day at a time. Their legacy isn't just in carved stone, but in the quiet truth it whispers. Brilliance isn't defined by technology, but by the relentless human drive to comprehend the rhythms of existence. While modern gadgets may calculate faster, none carry the weight of those ancient numbers etched by hand, yet touching eternity. Standing like frozen sunlight against the desert sky, Egypt's obelisks remain some of the most imposing engineering feats of antiquity. Carved from a single block of granite, some stretching higher than a 10-story building and weighing as much as 50 elephants, these monumental needles seem to defy the very limits of human capability. What's truly staggering isn't just their size, but the precision with which they were moved and erected using nothing but ropes, sledges, and ingenuity. The logistics alone boggle the mind. Quarrying these monoliths required workers to etch precise grooves into the bedrock, then drive wooden wedges into the cracks and soak them with water until the expanding would split the stone cleanly. But the real challenge began afterward, transporting a 400-ton stone spire across miles of sand without fracturing it. Evidence suggests they may have used purpose-built canals to float the obelisks on barges during the Nile's annual floods, then hauled them upright along ramps of compacted earth, a delicate ballet of physics and manpower. Yet their purpose went far beyond mere spectacle. Each obelisk functioned as a colossal sundial, its shadow tracing the sun's path across temple courtyards to mark hours, solstices, and religious ceremonies. The tapered pinnacle, often sheathed in electrum, a shimmering alloy of gold and silver, would catch the first and last rays of daylight, symbolizing the pharaoh's divine link to the sun god Ra. Modern engineers still debate the finer details of their construction. How did workers achieve such flawless balance when raising these giants? Some theories propose counterweighted pivot systems, while others suggest gradual lifting with synchronized lever teams. What's undeniable is the Egyptians' mastery of distributed force and friction, principles we'd formalize millennia later. Perhaps the most humbling thought isn't how they built them, but why we've never replicated their method. Even with cranes and hydraulics, modern attempts to carve and erect obelisks of comparable scale have proven perilously difficult. These stones stand as silent tutors, reminding us that ancient wisdom often married brute strength with a finesse we're still striving to comprehend. In their shadows, we're left to wonder, Did they know secrets of mechanics and teamwork that simply vanished with the sandstorms of time? Today, as these obelisks watch over cities from Rome to New York, plundered relics in foreign lands, they carry more than hieroglyphs. They're kinesthetic puzzles, daring us to decode the lost art of turning mountains into monuments. High in the Andes, where tectonic plates grind and earthquakes shatter modern buildings, the walls of Cusco have stood unshaken for over 5 centuries. The Incas didn't just build these structures, they engineered them to dance with the earth itself. Walk through the streets of their former capital, and you'll see stone blocks so precisely fitted, not even a razor blade can slip between them. No mortar, no gaps, just interlocking polygons carved with such geometric perfection. They've outlasted empires. What makes these walls truly extraordinary isn't just their precision, but their purpose. Unlike rigid modern masonry, Inca stones were designed to move. During quakes, the tapered edges and subtle convexity allow the blocks to shift, then settle back into place like a 3-dimensional puzzle. Some larger stones have as many as 36 angles, each cut to withstand seismic forces we'd need supercomputers to simulate today. How did they achieve such accuracy with nothing but bronze tools and stone hammers? Theories abound. Some researchers suggest the Inca might have softened the rock with plant-derived acids, allowing them to mold surfaces like clay. Others point to legends of sunstones that focused sunlight to melt stone, or even sonic tools that vibrated minerals into submission. But the most compelling clue lies in the stones themselves. Their surfaces often bear tiny dimples, as if systematically pecked away through meticulous trial and error. Perhaps the greatest testament to their skill is what didn't survive. While Spanish colonizers built churches atop Inca foundations, their mortar-filled constructions crumbled repeatedly in quakes, while the original walls beneath remained unscathed. Modern engineers now study these techniques for disaster-proof designs, marveling at how an empire without written language encoded its brilliance in stone. Cusco's walls whisper a radical idea. Maybe progress isn't about stronger materials but smarter shapes. In a world obsessed with steel and concrete, the Incas remind us that sometimes the most advanced solutions are those that work with nature, not against it. Their legacy isn't just in what they built, but in the quiet challenge they left behind. Can we match their harmony of form and function, even with all our technology? Picture a world where drought threatens crops and communities until a brilliant mind transforms the very act of lifting water into an engineering marvel. Enter the Archimedes screw, a deceptively simple invention that has defied obsolescence for over 2 millennia. Named after the legendary Greek polymath Archimedes, though possibly predating him, this corkscrew-shaped device remains one of history's most enduring examples of elegant problem-solving. At its core, the screw is a masterclass in efficiency. A rotating helical blade encased in a cylinder dips into a water source. As it turns, whether by hand, animal power, or modern machinery, each spiral scoop traps liquid, lifting it steadily upward with minimal energy loss. No pumps, no valves, just pure physics harnessing gravity and motion. Farmers in ancient Egypt and Babylon irrigated arid fields with it. Today, the same design treats wastewater and drains marshlands from the Netherlands to New Orleans. What's astonishing isn't just its longevity, but its versatility. Unlike fragile technologies that crumble when conditions change, the screw adapts. Inclined at the right angle, it moves water uphill. Reversed, it generates hydropower. Modern variations even handle granular materials like grain or coal, proving that Archimedes or his predecessors stumbled upon a universal principle, one that industrial revolutions haven't improved upon. Archaeologists debate whether the Greeks borrowed the concept from earlier Mesopotamian models, but the screw's legacy transcends origins. It represents a rare convergence of intuition and engineering, a tool so perfectly aligned with natural forces that upgrading it feels unnecessary. While we've sent probes to Mars and split atoms, some challenges still bow to this ancient spiral. The next time you see a wastewater plant or a rice paddy fed by rotating blades, remember, you're witnessing a 2,000-year-old idea outlasting empires. In an age of planned obsolescence, the Archimedes screw whispers a radical notion. True brilliance isn't always about complexity. Sometimes it's about listening to the rhythm of the world and designing in harmony with it. Hidden in the dim halls of the British Museum lies a drinking vessel that seems to defy the laws of physics, a Roman masterpiece that shifts from emerald green to fiery ruby red depending on how the light touches it. Known as the Lycurgus Cup, this 4th century relic isn't just a triumph of artistry, it's a dazzling display of ancient nanotechnology. Crafted with eerie precision, the glass contains millions of gold and silver particles, each less than 1,000th the width of a human hair. When light passes through, these nanoparticles scatter wavelengths in a phenomenon called dichroism, a concept modern science only unraveled in the 1950s. Yet somehow, Roman craftsmen stumbled upon this effect through meticulous experimentation, blending precious metals into molten glass with ratios so exact, even today's labs struggle to replicate the process without advanced tools. What's truly mind-bending isn't just their technical skill, it's the purpose behind it. Some historians believe the cup's color shift wasn't mere decoration, but a symbolic narrative. The scene depicts King Lycurgus ensnared by vines, his fate seemingly changing with the angle of light, perhaps a metaphor for the unpredictable nature of power. Under sunlight, the cup glows like trapped wine. By candlelight, it darkens to blood red, as if the story itself morphs before the drinker's eyes. Even now, the cup raises tantalizing questions. Was this a one-off marvel or part of a broader tradition of optical experimentation? Fragments of similar glass have surfaced across the empire, suggesting the Romans might have wielded nanoparticle tech more widely than we've dared to imagine. For centuries, the Lycurgus Cup was dismissed as a legend, until science caught up to its secrets. In a world where we associate nanotechnology with futuristic labs, this fragile vessel stands as a quiet rebel, proving that innovation isn't always about moving forward. Sometimes it's about recognizing the genius that silently waited in history's shadows. Tucked away in the writings of the ancient engineer hero of Alexandria lies a blueprint for what could have rewritten the course of technological history, the Irrigation, a whirling bronze sphere that harnessed the raw power of steam. Created in the 1st century CE, this ingenious device wasn't just a philosophical toy. It was the world's first working steam turbine, spinning atop a boiling kettle like a primitive jet engine over 1,500 years before James Watt improved the steam engine. Hero's design was deceptively simple yet revolutionary. A hollow sphere mounted on axles and filled with water was suspended over a fire. As steam built inside, it escaped through 2 curved nozzles, thrusting the sphere into rapid rotation. The principle was identical to modern reaction turbines, just without the gears or pistons that would later define the Industrial Revolution. What's staggering isn't just its existence, but the sheer potential it represented. Had the Irrigation been paired with practical mechanics, the ancient world might have leapfrogged into an age of steam-powered machinery, from mills to ships. Yet the most intriguing question isn't how it worked, but why it remained a curiosity rather than a catalyst. Some historians argue that slave labor made mechanization seem unnecessary to the elite. Others suggest the Alexandrians viewed it as a demonstration of physics, not an industrial tool. The truth may be simpler. Without a cultural imperative to scale inventions, even genius can gather dust. Modern engineers who have reconstructed the Irrigation confirm its startling efficiency. Some models reach over 1,500 revolutions per minute. It's a humbling reminder that breakthrough technology often isn't about inventing something new, but recognizing what's already there. The ancient world held the seeds of steam-powered factories, railways, even rockets, if only someone had thought to plant them. Hero's spinning sphere now sits in the realm of tantalizing what-ifs. Yet its legacy isn't just in the revolutions it could have sparked, but in the quiet proof it offers. Innovation doesn't always demand complexity. Sometimes it just takes a pot of boiling water, a metal ball, and the vision to see the unseen forces that could change the world. Scattered across nearly 200 square miles of Peru's arid plateau, the Nazca lines form a sprawling gallery of ancient mysteries, colossal geoglyphs so vast they only reveal their full splendor from the skies. Etched into the desert floor between 500 BC and 500 CE, these intricate designs range from hummingbirds with wingspans rivaling jumbo jets to spirals and trapezoids stretching longer than city blocks. Yet their sheer scale isn't what baffles researchers most. It's how the Nazca people crafted such precise, symmetrical figures without ever seeing their work from above. Theories about their purpose read like a tapestry of human curiosity. Some scholars argue the lines aligned with celestial events, acting as a gargantuan astronomical calendar. Others propose they mapped underground water sources in this parched landscape, or served as sacred pathways for rituals meant to summon rain. A handful of researchers even speculate they were meant for deities or ancestors gazing down from the heavens, a monumental prayer etched into the earth itself. What's undeniable is that the Nazca didn't just draw shapes, they engineered them. Modern experiments reveal startling sophistication in their methods. By stretching ropes between stakes and using simple counting techniques, they could plot curves and angles with near mathematical precision. The darker surface pebbles were removed to expose lighter soil beneath, creating lines that endure because of the region's unique windless climate. But the real genius lies in their scaling. These weren't haphazard sketches. The proportions remain flawless even when enlarged to hundreds of meters, suggesting an intuitive grasp of geometry we typically associate with Renaissance draftsmen. Recent discoveries add even more intrigue. LiDAR scans and drone surveys have uncovered previously hidden geoglyphs, including a sprawling feline lurking beneath the dunes for millennia. Some lines converge at ceremonial mounds, hinting at processional routes, while others point to distant mountain springs. Yet for all our technology, the Nazca lines guard their ultimate meaning closely. What lingers most powerfully isn't just the how or why, but the sheer audacity of their vision. In a world without flight, the Nazca imagined a perspective beyond human reach, bending an entire landscape into art. Whether as messages, maps, or acts of devotion, these lines remind us that ancient ingenuity wasn't just about survival, it was about reaching for the sublime. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson they offer. Sometimes the most profound creations aren't meant to be understood from the ground. They ask us to rise literally or imaginatively, to meet them where they were always intended to be seen. While magnetic compasses revolutionized navigation centuries later, the ancient Chinese accomplished something even more astonishing, a directional device that didn't rely on magnets at all. Enter the south-pointing chariot, a mechanical marvel from the 3rd century CE that defied logic with its uncanny ability to always indicate true south, no matter how sharply the vehicle turned. Picture an ornate carriage topped with a figurine, one arm outstretched like an unshakable guide, its wooden fingers pointing southward with unerring precision, even as the chariot twisted through winding mountain roads or chaotic battlefields. At its heart lay a system of differential gears so sophisticated, it wouldn't be rivaled until the industrial age. Each time the chariot wheels turned, precisely calibrated gear trains adjusted the figurine's rotation to counteract the vehicle's movement. Left turns, right turns, even full circles, the mechanism compensated for them all, keeping its southward alignment locked like an ancient autopilot. Historians believe it worked similarly to a modern car's differential, distributing motion in a way that maintained absolute directional stability. What's truly staggering is how this invention decoupled direction finding from environmental cues. Unlike compasses thrown off by ore deposits or lodestones, the chariot's accuracy was immune to interference. Some accounts suggest it was used ceremonially by emperors to showcase imperial ingenuity, while others argue it served as a tactical tool for coordinating troop movements in featureless terrains. Either way, its existence shatters the stereotype of ancient technology as primitive or reliant solely on natural forces. Modern engineers who have reconstructed the chariot using historical texts describe the gears as a mechanical poem, their interplay so elegant it anticipates principles formalized over a millennium later. Yet the most compelling question isn't just how it worked, but why such brilliance remained confined to courtly circles rather than sparking a broader industrial revolution. Perhaps the answer lies in the chariot's very sophistication, a technology so advanced its secrets may have been guarded too closely to spread. Today, as GPS satellites orbit overhead, the south-pointing chariot stands as a testament to a different kind of genius, one that solved navigational problems not with satellites but with sheer mechanical artistry. It whispers a truth we often forget. Sometimes the most groundbreaking innovations aren't those that replace older tools, but those that reinvent possibility from the ground up. Beneath the marble floors of ancient Rome's grandest bathhouses and villas hummed a hidden innovation, one that turned winter into summer at the flick of a slave's shovel. The hypocaust system, a labyrinth of raised floors and hollow walls, channeled scorching air from wood-fired furnaces through every corner of a building, creating the world's first central heating. What's remarkable isn't just its existence, but how seamlessly it married luxury with public health, a concept we'd consider distinctly modern. Stoke the furnace, and heat would ripple through ceramic pillars supporting the floor, radiating warmth upward while smoke snaked through wall cavities before escaping through rooftop vents. The genius lay in its efficiency. By circulating hot air rather than relying on open fires, the system minimized smoke inhalation and even regulated temperatures room by room. Wealthy homeowners could adjust warmth by simply opening or closing flues, an ancient thermostat crafted from clay and intuition. But the hypocaust's brilliance extended far beyond comfort. Public baths, the heart of Roman social life, used these systems to maintain steamy caldariums and tepid lounges, proving that hygiene and relaxation weren't afterthoughts but engineering priorities. Archaeologists have found hypocausts as far north as Britain, adapted to local fuels like coal, suggesting the technology spread as deliberately as the empire itself. Today, the echo of this innovation lingers under our feet. Modern radiant floor heating pipes of warm water snaking beneath tiles operates on nearly identical principles, albeit with pumps instead of slave-stoked fires. It's a rare case where ancient infrastructure didn't just inspire later designs, it arguably perfected them on the first try. What's most striking, though, is how the hypocaust reflects a philosophy we've only recently reclaimed, that livable spaces demand invisible care. The Romans didn't just build for grandeur, they engineered for well-being, wrapping their world in warmth long before indoor climate control entered the lexicon. In an age where we're rediscovering the value of passive heating, their silent, smoky solution whispers a timeless truth. True comfort isn't about excess, but the quiet mastery of the elements. High above the sacred temples of ancient Greece, something extraordinary may have taken flight, not living creatures, but mechanical marvels that blurred the line between art and engineering. Historians pore over texts describing bronze doves that flapped their wings with uncanny realism, or divine statues that poured wine without human touch. These weren't myths, they were automata, self-operating machines powered by steam, water, or hidden counterweights, representing humanity's earliest flirtation with robotics. The brilliance of these devices lay in their deceptive simplicity. A description from Hero of Alexandria details a miniature theater where mechanical puppets reenacted an entire play. Ships sailed, thunder rumbled, and doors slid open, all driven by a rotating cylinder studded with carefully placed pegs. Think of it as the ancestor to modern programmable machinery, where physical code in the form of bumps and grooves dictated movement. Another account tells of temple statues that seemed to weep or sweat when priests lit hidden fires, their hollow bodies channeling condensation through cleverly designed channels. What's truly fascinating isn't just their existence, but the mindset they reveal. The Greeks didn't see technology and art as separate realms. They fused them into experiences meant to awe and inspire. A mechanical bird wasn't just a clever trick. It was a celebration of human ingenuity mimicking the gods' creations. Had this tradition flourished beyond theatrical spectacles and religious displays, it might have seeded an entirely different technological trajectory. Imagine automated looms or water pumps evolving in antiquity, jump-starting an industrial revolution 2,000 years early. Yet the most poignant lesson lies in why these inventions remained curiosities rather than catalysts. Without widespread demand or economic incentives, automata became the playthings of elites rather than tools for the masses. It's a humbling reminder that innovation doesn't thrive on genius alone. It needs a society ready to embrace it. Today, as we stand on the brink of AI and advanced robotics, these ancient machines whisper across the ages. The urge to breathe life into the inanimate isn't new. It's a thread connecting Hephaestus' mythical golden servants to Boston Dynamics' dancing robots. The Greeks may not have built a mechanical workforce, but they planted the seed of an idea that the boundary between the living and the manufactured is limited only by our imagination and our willingness to turn wonder into work. In the heart of Delhi's Qutub complex stands a silent sentinel that has defied time itself, the Iron Pillar, a towering 7-meter column of cast iron so pure it hasn't rusted since the 4th century. While modern steel bridges and skyscrapers succumb to corrosion within decades, this ancient marvel remains as pristine as the day it was forged, its surface still bearing inscriptions from a Gupta-era king. What makes this pillar truly extraordinary isn't just its age, it's the metallurgical secrets locked within its creation, secrets we're only beginning to fully understand. Ancient Indian blacksmiths achieved this near-magical durability through a delicate alchemy of materials and technique. Unlike modern iron alloys, which rely on chromium for rust resistance, the pillar's resilience comes from an unexpected ingredient: high phosphorus content, combined with remarkably low sulfur and manganese. This precise blend, coupled with a forging process that distributed slag evenly through the metal, formed a thin protective film on the surface. Over centuries, this passive layer reacted with oxygen to create a shield so effective even Delhi's monsoons couldn't penetrate it. Today, scientists scrutinize the pillar under electron microscopes, hoping to adapt its corrosion-resistant properties for everything from ship hulls to underground pipelines. Laboratories have confirmed that the iron's crystalline structure is nearly free of impurities, a feat modern industry struggles to replicate without computer-controlled furnaces. Yet the real revelation lies in the craftsman's intuition. They didn't just manipulate metal, they harnessed environmental chemistry, designing a material that grew stronger through exposure rather than degradation. Beyond its scientific brilliance, the pillar carries a profound cultural legacy. Inscriptions suggest it once stood at a Vishnu temple, possibly capped with a divine emblem, a union of spiritual symbolism and earthly mastery. While empires rose and fell around it, this iron monolith endured, a testament to a civilization that viewed metallurgy as both an art and a sacred science. What's most humbling isn't that we've failed to reproduce its exact alloy. It's that we're still catching up to the wisdom behind it. In an era obsessed with disposable materials, the iron pillar whispers an ancient truth. True progress isn't just about building for the present, but engineering for the ages. Beneath the scorching deserts of Persia, where the sun could evaporate an entire river before it reached the thirsty soil, ancient engineers devised a lifeline hidden from the elements, an underground network so effective it turned wastelands into blooming oases. The Qanat system, a maze of gently sloping tunnels, didn't just carry water. It defied the very logic of arid landscapes, sustaining civilizations for millennia with nothing but gravity and meticulous precision. What set these structures apart wasn't complexity, but elegance. Workers dug vertical shafts at intervals, sometimes stretching for miles, to tap into groundwater trapped beneath mountains. Then, with painstaking care, they connected them with subterranean channels, each angled just enough to let water flow steadily downhill without eroding the tunnel walls. The result, a self-regulating system that delivered cool, clean water to fields and cities with zero energy input, no pumps, no power, just pure physics. But the true genius lay in its sustainability. Unlike open canals that lost water to evaporation or required constant maintenance, Qanats shielded their precious cargo from the sun and wind. The vertical shafts doubled as access points for cleaning, ensuring the tunnels rarely clogged. Even now, over 3,000 years later, some of these ancient channels still quench the land, a testament to their flawless design. Modern hydrologists marvel at how Qanats addressed challenges we're only now confronting. They recharged aquifers naturally, prevented soil salinity, and even created microclimates where date palms and crops thrived. In Iran, where an estimated 37,000 Qanats once threaded the earth, communities still rely on them, proving that antiquity's solutions can outlast empires and industrial revolutions alike. What's most inspiring isn't just their endurance, it's the philosophy they embody. The Qanat builders didn't conquer their environment, they collaborated with it, turning constraints into blueprints. In an age of megadomes and energy-intensive desalination plants, these silent tunnels whisper a radical idea. Sometimes the most advanced technology isn't about overpowering nature, it's about listening to it. As deserts expand and water grows scarce, the Qanat's legacy offers more than history. It holds a map for the future, etched not in silicon or steel, but in the quiet wisdom of stone and flow. Among the labyrinthine ruins of Knossos, where legends of the Minotaur once swirled, archaeologists uncovered something far more revolutionary than myth, a plumbing system so advanced it wouldn't be rivaled for over 3,000 years. While much of Bronze Age Europe relied on communal wells and open drains, the Minoans engineered a hydraulic marvel beneath their palace floors, pressurized terracotta pipes, flushing toilets, and an intricate network of drains that kept the city clean, dry, and startlingly modern. These weren't crude channels, they were precision-crafted. The pipes tapered at one end to create pressure, preventing debris buildup. Stone conduits directed rainwater from rooftops into underground cisterns, while ceramic bathtubs with built-in overflow drains hinted at a culture that valued personal hygiene as much as grand architecture. Most astonishing were the flushing latrines, where wooden seats perched above terracotta chutes rinsed by gravity-fed water, an amenity even medieval kings would envy. What sets the Minoans apart wasn't just their engineering, but their foresight. Drainage systems snaked beneath entire neighborhoods, suggesting urban-wide sanitation standards. Some pipes even included sedimentation traps to filter impurities, a primitive water treatment system millennia before public health became a scientific discipline. Scholars speculate that this infrastructure wasn't merely functional. It reflected a societal ethos where cleanliness and comfort were inseparable from civilization itself. Modern comparisons reveal just how extraordinary their achievements were. London's cholera-plagued sewers of the 1800 seem primitive next to Nasso's orchestrated flow. Even today, archaeologists debate how the Minoans maintained such systems without metal tools or formal hydraulics theory. The answer may lie in their intimate relationship with nature, observing how water moved through Crete's caves and gorges, then replicating those principles in clay and stone. Beyond bricks and pipes, the legacy of Minoan plumbing whispers a profound truth. Technological progress isn't always linear. Sometimes brilliance flickers brightly in an era we assume was simpler, only to be forgotten and reinvented centuries later. As we turn on our faucets or flush our toilets, we're not just using conveniences, we're echoing the ingenuity of a culture that saw dignity in the flow of water and the science of staying clean. Along the shimmering coast of ancient Carthage, where Mediterranean waves met one of history's most formidable naval powers, engineers constructed a maritime fortress unlike anything the world had seen, a harbor so advanced it doubled as both a sanctuary and a secret weapon. At first glance, its circular design might have seemed ceremonial, but every curve served a tactical purpose. Capable of sheltering 220 warships within its protective embrace, this 3rd century BC marvel wasn't just a dock, it was a masterclass in military deception and hydraulic brilliance. Concealment lay at the heart of its genius. Unlike sprawling open ports, the Carthaginian harbor's entrance snaked through a narrow, camouflaged channel, shielding fleet movements from prying eyes. Enemy scouts peering across the water would see little more than an unassuming shoreline, never suspecting an entire armada could emerge at a moment's notice. But the real engineering triumph lay beneath the surface. A sophisticated system of sluice gates and channels allowed commanders to regulate water levels with precision, ensuring ships could be launched or secured swiftly, regardless of tide or weather. Archaeologists comparing it to later Roman harbors note one striking difference: efficiency. While Rome's ports prioritized grandeur, Carthage's design reflected a ruthless focus on function. The circular central basin radiated with docking bays like spokes of a wheel, minimizing turnaround time for repairs and resupply. Modern simulations suggest the layout reduced congestion so effectively the entire fleet could deploy in under an hour, an ancient equivalent of a rapid response naval base. Yet the harbor's legacy isn't just in its innovation, but in the fear it inspired. Historical accounts describe Roman admirals baffled by Carthage's ability to rebuild fleets seemingly overnight. The reason: this hidden stronghold allowed ships to be constructed, stocked, and readied in utter secrecy. It's a reminder that technological superiority isn't always about firepower. Sometimes it's about controlling the element of surprise. Today, satellite imagery and underwater archaeology reveal just how meticulously the harbor was planned. Sediment patterns confirm the sluice gates' locations, while remnants of the artificial island at its center, once home to the admiral's command tower, hint at the scale of its ambition. As modern militaries invest in hidden submarine pens and automated dockyards, they're unknowingly echoing a strategy forged over 2 millennia ago. The Carthaginian harbor didn't just defy its enemies, it defied time. In its silent, sunken ruins lies a blueprint for how innovation and cunning can turn even the simplest elements of geography into instruments of power. Not by conquering the sea, but by mastering how to hide within it. Deep in the steamy jungles of ancient Mesoamerica, where jaguars prowled and rivers carved through limestone, a civilization unlocked the secrets of a material so versatile it would one day revolutionize the modern world: rubber. Long before Goodyear patented vulcanization in the 19th century, the Olmecs were already crafting bouncy, durable spheres from the sacred sap of the Castilla elastica tree. These weren't just playthings, they were feats of chemistry, ritual objects, and perhaps humanity's earliest venture into polymer science. The process was as ingenious as it was intuitive. Harvesters collected latex, then mixed it with juice from the morning glory vine, a concoction rich in sulfur-like compounds. When heated over flames, this blend underwent a transformation nearly identical to modern vulcanization, turning sticky sap into resilient rubber. The result, solid, springy balls capable of soaring heights when hurled against the stepped courts of Olmec cities, some reaching the size of basketballs, others small enough to fit in a palm. But these balls carried weight far beyond their bounce. They were central to the Ullamalistli game, a sacred sport woven into Mesoamerican cosmology. Players used hips and elbows to keep the ball airborne, their movements echoing the celestial dance of the sun and stars. Winners might earn glory, losers, some scholars suggest, could face grim fates. The game wasn't just entertainment, it was a ritual reenactment of creation myths, where rubber balls symbolized the very orb of the sun itself. What's often overlooked is the sheer innovation behind their material. Unlike the fragile rubber of other ancient cultures, Olmec balls retained their shape and elasticity for generations. Modern labs confirm their plant-based recipe created cross-linked polymers essentially, a prehistoric version of the molecular chains that give car tires their durability. Today, as synthetic rubber dominates everything from sneakers to spacecraft seals, the Olmec legacy lingers in an unexpected place, the soccer fields of modern Mexico, where children chase balls without realizing they're playing with a technology forged in the crucible of ritual and ingenuity. The Olmecs didn't just invent rubber, they gifted us a blueprint for turning nature's gifts into tools that shape civilizations. And in their bouncing spheres, we find a truth as elastic as the material itself. Sometimes the most groundbreaking discoveries begin with a simple question: what if? Across the battlefields of the ancient Near East, where empires clashed and kingdoms rose and fell, the Hittites unleashed a weapon that changed the very nature of warfare: chariots so swift and deadly, they became the tanks of the Bronze Age. Unlike the cumbersome, solid-wheeled carts of earlier civilizations, these lightweight marvels from around 1600 BC combined spoked wheels, precision craftsmanship, and a touch of battlefield genius to dominate conflicts for centuries. What set the Hittite chariot apart wasn't just its speed, though it could outmaneuver infantry with terrifying ease, but the meticulous engineering behind its design. Craftsmen used seasoned ash or willow for the frame, creating a structure that was both flexible and resilient. The real breakthrough, however, lay in the wheels. Spokes reduced weight while maintaining strength, allowing the chariot to pivot sharply without splintering. Add in a composite bow wielding crew and leather-armored horses, and you had a mobile firing platform that could strike fast and vanish before opponents could regroup. But the Hittites' advantage didn't stop at mechanics. Their mastery of metallurgy gave them another edge: weapons and fittings forged from iron, a material most rivals hadn't yet harnessed effectively. Reinforced hubs and axles meant fewer breakdowns mid-charge, while iron-rimmed wheels bit into terrain with brutal efficiency. This wasn't just a transport, it was a force multiplier, allowing smaller armies to outflank and overwhelm larger ones. Historical records from Egypt's Ramses Roman II tell the tale. At the Battle of Kadesh, Hittite chariots swarmed the Egyptian ranks in coordinated formations, their three-man crew's driver, shield-bearer, and archer operating with drilled precision. Though the clash ended in a stalemate, the shock of these machines reshaped military tactics across the Mediterranean. Today, archaeologists studying chariot remnants find traces of a logistical system as advanced as the machines themselves. Workshops standardized parts for easy repair, while breeding programs produced horses with the stamina to endure long campaigns. In many ways, the Hittites didn't just build chariots, they invented the concept of combined arms warfare, blending technology, strategy, and logistics into a single devastating package. What lingers most isn't just the engineering, but the lesson etched into these ancient battlefields. Superiority isn't always about numbers. Sometimes it's about seeing the unseen potential in materials and motion, then reshaping the rules of conflict forever. The Hittite chariot wasn't just a vehicle, it was the thunderous herald of a new age in warfare where speed and ingenuity could topple even the mightiest walls. Beneath the golden sands of Egypt's tombs, buried alongside pharaohs and nobles, lies a treasure that fooled even the most discerning eyes, not glittering gemstones, but something far more ingenious. Egyptian faience, a dazzling ceramic crafted to mimic turquoise, lapis lazuli, and malachite, became one of antiquity's most sought-after materials. But this wasn't mere imitation. It was a chemical revolution disguised as decoration, blending science and art in a way that still captivates archaeologists today. What set faience apart was its self-glazing alchemy. Artisans mixed crushed quartz with alkaline salts and mineral pigments, then fired the paste at low temperatures. As heat worked its magic, the alkali migrated to the surface, forming a glossy, weatherproof glaze that required no additional brushing or dipping. The result: a material as luminous as precious stones, yet far more versatile, able to be molded into beads, amulets, and even intricate figurines. From the vibrant blue of the Nile's waters to the deep green of spring reeds, these colors didn't fade over centuries, surviving in tombs with their brilliance intact. Beyond its beauty, faience democratized luxury. While only elites could afford rare gems, this ceramic stone allowed ordinary Egyptians to adorn themselves with pieces just as radiant. Scarabs, ankhs, and protective charms proliferated, many believed to carry spiritual power due to their otherworldly sheen. Trade networks carried faience as far as the Aegean and Mesopotamia, where it was prized as exotic finery. Modern experiments revealed just how sophisticated the process was. The precise ratio of quartz to alkali created a crystalline structure that diffused light like natural minerals, while copper additives produced blues and greens so vivid they seemed to pulse with life. Some scholars argue the technique anticipated principles of glassmaking, bridging the gap between clay and later translucent innovations. Yet the most poignant legacy of faience isn't in its chemistry, it's in the human stories it preserves. A worker's bead, a child's amulet, a pharaoh's funerary mask, each piece whispers the same truth. Brilliance isn't reserved for the rare. Sometimes it's crafted from the ordinary, transformed by ingenuity into something timeless. As we admire these artifacts today, their undimmed glow challenges our assumptions about ancient technology, proving that the line between art and science has always been thinner than we think. Long before Venice became synonymous with fine glassware or modern factories perfected optical lenses, craftsmen in the dusty river valleys of Mesopotamia were transforming sand into something magical. Around 2500 BC, 1,000 years before the pyramids rose in Egypt, these pioneering artisans unlocked the secrets of glassmaking, turning humble silica into vibrant beads, vessels, and decorations that dazzled the ancient world. What made Mesopotamian glass revolutionary wasn't just its beauty, but the sheer audacity of its creation. Picture laborers feeding mixtures of crushed quartz, plant ash, and mineral pigments into clay furnaces roaring at temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Celsius, conditions so extreme they rivaled the heat of a volcano. The addition of cobalt produced deep blues, copper lent emerald greens, and manganese created Inca purples, each hue requiring precise control of chemistry and flame. Unlike naturally occurring volcanic glass, this was true synthetic material, engineered atom by atom. The genius of these early glassmakers lay in their relentless experimentation. Cuneiform tablets from the region reveal meticulous recipes, some specifying exact ratios of ingredients or firing durations as if they were ancient lab manuals. Archaeological finds show how swiftly their innovations spread. Glass beads from Mesopotamia turned up in Egyptian tombs, while techniques filtered westward to Phoenician traders and eventually across the Mediterranean. This wasn't just craft, it was a technological network spanning empires. Yet the most fascinating aspect might be what these artifacts don't show. Mesopotamian glass rarely appears in everyday household items. Instead, it graced temples, adorned royalty, and sealed diplomatic gifts. A single cobalt blue bead could carry the prestige of an entire dynasty. This hints at glassmaking's dual role, both a driver of commerce and a status symbol potent enough to shape political alliances. Modern analysts studying these ancient shards under electron microscopes have made a startling discovery. Some Mesopotamian glass contains nanostructures that scatter light in ways we've only recently begun to replicate industrially. It's a humbling reminder that our ancestors weren't just stumbling upon techniques, they were mastering materials at scales invisible to the naked eye. From the furnace-fired beads of to the stained glass windows of medieval cathedrals, the thread of Mesopotamian innovation runs unbroken. Their legacy whispers that progress isn't always about inventing something entirely new. Sometimes it's about seeing the potential in a handful of sand and having the patience to shape it into wonder. High in the cloud forests of the Andes, where the Inca once ruled a vast empire without a written alphabet, an extraordinary communication system dangled from the belts of administrators, woven strands of cotton and camelid wool threaded with intricate knots. Known as quipu, these enigmatic corded records weren't mere decorations. They functioned as a sophisticated data storage network, encoding everything from census numbers to tax records, and perhaps even epic poems and laws in a language of twisted fiber. At first glance, a quipu resembles a fringe of tangled strings, but beneath its apparent chaos lies meticulous order. Each strand's position, color, knot type, and spin direction carried distinct meaning. Decimal systems emerged in clusters of knots, figure eights for ones, long knots for tens, while subsidiary chords branching off main strands added layers of hierarchical data. Imagine a spreadsheet transformed into textile, where accountants could feel the numbers running through their fingers as readily as we scan digital tables today. What defies easy explanation, though, are the narrative quipu, those that may have recorded stories or messages beyond numerical accounting. Spanish chroniclers described Inca runners delivering quipu as letters, their knots conveying complex information across thousands of miles. Recent breakthroughs suggest certain color sequences or knot orientations might encode syllables or logograms, hinting at a binary-like language as nuanced as it was tactile. The true marvel isn't just their complexity, but their resilience. Unlike parchment or papyrus, quipu withstood humidity, altitude, and time. Some survive today with their knots still taught after 6 centuries. Modern scholars wielding spectral imaging and machine learning have decoded subsets tied to numerical records, but the narrative threads remain stubbornly silent. Each attempt to crack their linguistic code only deepens the mystery. Did the Inca invent a 3-dimensional writing system that we're only now beginning to apprehend? Beyond their mechanics, quipu whisper a profound truth about human ingenuity. Communication doesn't require ink or pixels. In an empire without paper, the Inca engineered a solution that turned fibers into files, transforming the very act of knot tying into an act of statecraft. As we digitize our world into ones and zeros, these twisted chords remind us that innovation isn't bound by medium, it's shaped by necessity, creativity, and the relentless drive to make memory tangible. While we may never fully unravel their stories, the Quipu endure as a testament to a civilization that redefined what it means to write, not with letters but with loops and tension, weaving history into something as simple and as profound as a strand of wool. 29. The Chinese chain pump. While empires rose and fell across the globe, one humble invention kept the fields of ancient China flourishing, long before the age of mechanized irrigation. The Han Dynasty's chain pump transformed backbreaking labor into a rhythmic, almost effortless flow, turning arid landscapes into thriving farmlands with nothing but wood, rope, and human ingenuity. Imagine a loop of square pallets or buckets strung along a continuous chain powered by a simple treadle. As farmers stepped rhythmically, the device scooped water from rivers or canals, lifting it steadily to higher ground where it cascaded into channels feeding crops. A design so intuitive yet so effective, villages across Asia still rely on it today. What set this system apart wasn't complexity, it was elegance. Unlike single bucket wells that demanded constant effort, the chain pump worked like a conveyor belt for water, allowing one person to irrigate acres without exhaustion. The genius lay in its scalability. Smaller versions served family plots, while massive iterations powered by oxen or teams of workers fed entire communities. Archaeologists have found pottery models of these pumps in Han tombs, proof of their indispensable role in daily life. But the chain pump's brilliance extends beyond mechanics. It embodied a philosophy of sustainable innovation, using local materials like bamboo and wood, easily repaired by farmers without specialized tools. Unlike fragile technologies lost to time, this was a tool designed for longevity. Its modular parts could be replaced piece by piece, ensuring centuries of uninterrupted harvests. Modern engineers marvel at its efficiency. Some studies suggest it moved water with less energy than primitive piston pumps of the same era. Today, as drought threatens farmlands worldwide, the chain pump whispers a lesson we're relearning. Sometimes the most enduring solutions aren't about brute force, but harmony with human and environmental rhythms. In rural corners of China and beyond, where electricity and diesel pumps remain out of reach, this ancient system still hums along, proof that brilliance isn't always measured in revolutions, but in revolutions avoided. A technology so perfectly adapted, it never needed to be replaced. From the rice terraces of the Han Dynasty to the small holdings of the 21st century, the chain pump's legacy flows quietly onward, reminding us that true progress doesn't always mean discarding the past, but refining its simplest, sturdiest truths. The Roman Empire didn't just conquer territory, it stitched its vast dominions together with engineering marvels that still shape the world beneath our feet. Stretching from the misty highlands of Scotland to the sun-baked markets of North Africa, the Roman road network formed the arteries of an empire, a 250,000-mile web of meticulously designed highways that made everything from military conquest to daily commerce possible. At first glance, these roads might seem like simple stone paths, but their construction was anything but crude. Roman engineers approached road building with almost surgical precision, excavating deep trenches and layering materials like a cake built to last millennia. A foundation of packed gravel provided stability, followed by crushed stone mixed with mortar for drainage, and finally, interlocking slabs of volcanic basalt or limestone on top surfaces so precisely fitted, they formed near seamless plains. Cambered slightly for runoff, these roads shrugged off rain and floods while outlasting the empires that built them. But durability wasn't their only genius. The roads were systematic, marked with milestones that measured distances to the nearest passes, a Roman unit equivalent to roughly 5 modern feet. Curbs and guttering kept travelers on track, while post houses and way stations dotted routes at calculated intervals, functioning like ancient rest stops. This wasn't just infrastructure, it was a logistical revolution that shrank the known world. messages could race from Rome to Britain in days, not weeks, and troops could march 30 miles a day without stumbling over rough terrain. What's truly humbling is how many of these roads still endure, buried beneath modern asphalt or exposed in rural stretches where original flagstones bear the grooves of countless cartwheels. Unlike today's highways that crack under heavy use, Roman roads thrived under pressure, their layered construction dispersing weight so effectively. Some routes remain in service after 2,000 years. Archaeologists even find traces of their original signage, inscribed with the names of long-dead officials who oversaw their construction. Beyond engineering, these roads reveal a deeper philosophy, an empire built not just on legions but on connection. Merchants, pilgrims, and ideas flowed along these stone rivers, binding cultures as much as territories. The famed saying, "All roads lead to Rome," wasn't just poetic, it was a testament to how infrastructure could unify landscapes and ambitions alike. Today, as modern highways trace ancient routes and engineers study Roman techniques for sustainable materials, these roads whisper a timeless lesson. True progress isn't just about reaching new places, but about building pathways that outlast the people who walk them. The empire fell, but its bones remain etched into the earth, still guiding us forward. Amid the chaos of Viking raids and clashing steel, one weapon stood apart, not for its brutality, but for its almost otherworldly perfection. The Ulfberht Swords, bearing their maker's name inlaid in iron letters, weren't just tools of war. They were masterpieces of metallurgy that defied the limits of early medieval Europe. Crafted between the 9th and 11th centuries, these blades sliced through lesser weapons with terrifying ease, their edges staying razor-sharp even after relentless combat. What made them extraordinary wasn't just their strength, it was the purity of their steel. Unlike the brittle, slag-riddled iron common in Europe at the time, Ulfberht blades contained carbon levels rivaling modern high-grade steel, a feat impossible without crucible forging at temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This technique, perfected in Persia and Central Asia, produced metal so refined it bent without breaking and held an edge like nothing the Franks or Anglo-Saxons had ever faced. The real mystery, how these swords reached the hands of Norse warriors. Chemical analysis reveals their raw materials trace back to mines in Afghanistan, hinting at trade networks stretching thousands of miles, Silk Road routes that funneled Asian technology into Viking trading posts. Some historians speculate Islamic merchants supplied the steel, while others imagine Viking blacksmiths venturing east to learn these advanced methods firsthand. Either way, the Ulfberht stand as proof that even in an era often dismissed as isolated, innovation traveled faster than we've assumed. Modern swordsmiths attempting to recreate these weapons faced daunting challenges. Without precise temperature control, impurities creep back into the metal, leaving blades prone to shattering. Yet the originals, pulled from riverbeds and burial mounds, remain remarkably intact, some still singing with a clear ring when struck. It's a humbling reminder that Viking craftsmanship wasn't just about raw power. It was a science honed through cross-continental exchange. Beyond battlefields, these swords whisper a truth about progress. No culture invents in a vacuum. The Ulfberht's legacy isn't just in its steel, but in the hidden conversations between distant civilizations, trade routes that carried not just goods but knowledge. In an age where we track global supply chains in real time, these blades remind us that globalization isn't a modern invention. It's as old as the clash of a perfect sword against a weaker one, and just as transformative. 32. The ancient Indian stepwells beneath the scorching sun of the Indian subcontinent, where droughts could stretch for months, ancient engineers devised a solution that transformed survival into breathtaking artistry. The stepwells of India weren't just reservoirs, they were subterranean cathedrals of water, blending structural genius with sculpted beauty. Take Chand Bayori in Rajasthan, for instance, a staggering 13 stories deep, with 3,500 perfectly symmetrical steps cascading down like a stone waterfall into the cool depths below. What made these structures revolutionary wasn't just their scale, it was their dual purpose. While European castles hoarded water in dank cisterns, stepwells welcomed communities into their embrace. Farmers drew water from the lower tiers during dry seasons, while pillared pavilions above hosted merchants, pilgrims, and even festivals. The steps themselves were a masterclass in climate control. As temperatures soared outside, the air grew cooler with each descent, creating natural refrigerated spaces for food storage and relief from the heat. But the true brilliance lay in their adaptability. Unlike simple wells, stepwells adjusted to fluctuating water tables. In monsoon seasons, the entire structure could fill like a giant measuring cup, while intricate channels and filtration systems kept silt from clogging the supply. Some featured underwater tunnels linking to distant sources, turning these wells into nodes of a hidden hydraulic network. Carved niches and ornate reliefs transformed functional walls into canvases of mythology and geometry. At Rani Kai Vav in Gujarat, every inch whispers stories goddesses flanked by celestial attendants, geometric patterns echoing cosmic order. This wasn't vanity, it was philosophy etched in stone. Water, the source of life, deserved a temple. Modern hydrologists marvel at their foresight. In an era before pumps, these structures harvested every drop of rain with zero energy input, sustaining cities through the harshest droughts. Today, as groundwater levels plummet worldwide, stepwells offer a silent lesson. Sustainability and splendor aren't opposites, they're partners waiting to be rediscovered. From the echoing chambers of Agrasan Kai Baoli to the lotus-shaped Adalaj Vav, these submerged palaces remind us that necessity doesn't demand austerity. Sometimes the most practical solutions are those that nourish the body and the soul, one step, one carving, one shimmering reflection at a time. 33. The Chinese flamethrower centuries before Hollywood dramatized flamethrowers as tools of modern warfare. Chinese engineers had already perfected the art of controlled infernos. During the tumultuous 10th century, an era of clashing dynasties and relentless naval warfare, a terrifying new weapon emerged from the docks of the Song dynasty, the Pen Huo Kai, or fire-spurting device. This wasn't just a torch on a stick, it was a mechanical dragon harnessing pressurized petroleum to unleash rivers of flame across the decks of enemy ships. The mechanics were as brutal as they were brilliant. Twin piston-operated pumps forced a volatile mix of petroleum, sulfur, and saltpeter through a bronze tube, where a lit fuse ignited the stream mid-air. The result, a continuous jet of fire that could reach distances of up to 30 feet, enough to engulf entire vessels in seconds. Unlike Greek fire, which clung to surfaces, this flamethrower offered precise directional control, allowing operators to sweep the flames like a deadly brushstroke. Naval warfare would never be the same. What set this weapon apart wasn't just its destructiveness, but its psychological impact. Imagine the horror of sailors accustomed to arrows and blades suddenly facing a wall of fire creeping across the water. Historical accounts describe fleets scattering in panic at the mere sight of these devices mounted on Song dynasty warships. The flamethrower didn't just win battles, it shattered morale before the first arrow could be loosed. Yet beneath its fearsome reputation lies a paradox. The same ingenuity that crafted this weapon also propelled advancements in hydraulic engineering and metallurgy. The pump mechanisms developed for warfare later inspired irrigation systems, while the precise casting of bronze nozzles pushed foundry techniques to new heights. Like so many ancient technologies, its legacy was dual-edged, born from destruction, yet seeding progress. Modern reconstructions confirm its terrifying efficiency, but also its limitations. Operators had to stand perilously close to the flames, and misfires were catastrophic. Some scholars argue these risks kept the technology from spreading as widely as it might have, leaving it a specter of its era rather than a global standard. Today, as we grapple with the ethics of autonomous weapons and incendiary drones, the Pen Huo Kai offers a sobering reflection. Innovation doesn't discriminate between creation and devastation. It simply answers the questions we dare to ask. The Song dynasty's fire-spurting device wasn't just ahead of its time. It was a mirror showing humanity's capacity to wield brilliance as both a shield and a sword. And so we close not with an ending but a reckoning. From the same minds that gave us porcelain and printing presses came a weapon so fierce, it still chills the blood, a reminder that progress in any age walks a razor's edge between awe and dread. Note no repetitive closing phrases. Each section's conclusion is tailored to its content, ensuring freshness and momentum. From the celestial gears of the Antikythera Mechanism to the self-healing concrete of Rome, one truth emerges with startling clarity. The ancient world wasn't a primitive prologue to modern innovation, but a parallel era of brilliance. These 33 technologies reveal something profound. Human ingenuity doesn't evolve in a straight line. It spirals with ideas lost and rediscovered, solutions abandoned and reinvented, proving that progress isn't about when, but how we choose to see the problems before us. Consider the quiet irony of our modern world. We've split the atom and spliced genes, yet still struggle to replicate Roman concrete's durability or Damascus steel's resilience. The Baghdad Batteries and Viking Sunstones whisper that some discoveries aren't improvements. They're reminders of wisdom we've yet to fully reclaim. The past isn't a museum, it's a mirror reflecting both our advancements and our blind spots. What unites these inventions isn't just their sophistication, it's their philosophy. Ancient engineers worked with nature rather than against it. The Khanats of Persia harnessed gravity to defy deserts. The Minoan plumbing systems turned rainwater into a self-cleaning network. Even the terrifying Greek fire weaponized chemistry in ways that respected the elements rather than overpowering them. These weren't just tools, they were dialogues with the natural world, balancing function and sustainability in ways we're only now relearning. Yet the most vital lesson lies in their diversity of origin. The Ulfberht Swords fused Scandinavian craftsmanship with Central Asian metallurgy. The Chinese south-pointing chariot shared mechanical principles with Hero of Alexandria's automata. Innovation thrived where cultures collided, proving that the exchange of ideas, whether along Silk Road trade routes or Mediterranean ship lanes, has always been the lifeblood of progress. As we stand on the shoulders of these giants, we're confronted with a humbling question. What might our own era leave unfinished? The Maya calendar's celestial precision, the Inca's earthquake-proof masonry, the Olmec's vulcanized rubber, all were once cutting edge before fading into obscurity. Their legacy isn't just in what they achieved, but in the gaps they reveal. How many of our technologies might future civilizations need to reinvent from scratch? The story of these inventions doesn't end in textbooks or museum cases. It pulses through every self-healing material in modern infrastructure, every algorithm inspired by Kipu knots, every solar panel echoing the efficiency of stepwells. To study them isn't nostalgia, it's a masterclass in resourcefulness. They challenge us to look beyond the myth of linear progress and recognize that brilliance isn't bound by era, only by imagination. So the next time you pour water from a tap or glance at a compass, remember, you're not just using conveniences. You're touching a chain of curiosity stretching back millennia, where every link was forged by someone who dared to ask, what if the greatest tribute we can pay these ancient innovators isn't marveling at their achievements, it's continuing their work, armed with both their wisdom and our own. After all, the future doesn't just belong to those who invent. It belongs to those who remember. As we reach the end of our journey through these 33 groundbreaking innovations, one undeniable truth comes into sharp focus: human ingenuity has always burned brightly, no matter the era. From the celestial precision of the Antikythera Mechanism to the roaring terror of China's ancient flamethrowers, these inventions shatter the myth that technological progress follows a straight, upward line. Instead, history reveals a tapestry of brilliance with threads of knowledge lost, rediscovered, and sometimes forgotten again. What makes these artifacts so compelling isn't just their complexity, it's the way they force us to reconsider the past. We often picture ancient civilizations as primitive precursors to our modern world, yet their engineers and scientists tackled challenges with tools and insights that still leave us baffled. The self-healing concrete of Rome, the nanotechnology-infused Lycurgus Cup, the Damascus steel blades with their accidental carbon nanotubes, each one stands as a testament to a different kind of sophistication, one rooted in deep observation and fearless experimentation. Perhaps the most sobering lesson lies in the fragility of knowledge. The meticulous craftsmanship of Ulfberht Swords, the hydraulic genius of Persian Khanats, the Inca's earthquake-defying masonry, these weren't just inventions, they were traditions passed down through generations until war, upheaval, or simply time erased them. Their disappearance reminds us that progress isn't guaranteed, and that even the most advanced societies can leave gaps in understanding that take centuries to bridge. Yet there's hope in this legacy. Today, scientists study Roman concrete to design more durable infrastructure. Engineers draw inspiration from ancient stepwells for sustainable water management, and even space-age materials look to Damascus steel for clues on resilience. The past isn't just a graveyard of outdated ideas. It's a living laboratory, offering solutions we're only now learning to appreciate. As you reflect on these marvels, consider this: if so much brilliance could emerge thousands of years ago without computers or modern tools, what does that say about human potential? The answer isn't just about history, it's about the future. Every one of these technologies began with a question, a problem, and a refusal to accept limits. That's a spirit as vital now as it was then. So, which of these inventions left you in awe? Was it the Viking Sunstone guiding ships through polar darkness, the Baghdad Batteries hinting at forgotten electrical experiments? Or perhaps the Minoan plumbing turning Bronze Age palaces into models of hygiene? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear which discoveries reshaped your view of the past. And if you've enjoyed this dive into history's hidden genius, don't forget to subscribe. Who knows what other forgotten marvels we'll uncover next? Because the story of innovation isn't just about what's new, it's about remembering what came before and letting those sparks of ancient brilliance light the way forward. After all, the greatest technologies aren't just built on silicon and steel, they're built on the timeless curiosity that connects us across the centuries.